Seeing the types of posts that Russians make on some of their social media accounts were super interesting. It's very well done. It's very sophisticated. Like, these are messages coming from Russians to stir up other people to protest. There were some big Twitter accounts that ended up being controlled by Russians that like nobody knew about. Do you guys, I think we even responded to this. US intelligence found that Blacktivist, a Facebook and Twitter group with more followers than the official Black Lives Matter movement, was operated by Russia. Oh, I didn't know this. Fake black activist accounts linked to Russian government. The brilliance of the Russian influence campaign is that it convinces Americans to attack each other, worsening both misandry and misogyny, mutual racial hatred, and extreme anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. In short, it's not just an effort to boost the right wing, it's an effort to radicalize everybody. Russia uses its trolling networks to aggressively attack men.
Hopefully, you'll also see how dangerous TikTok actually is.
Oh my god.
Just, like, stay the away from me.
You're being targeted by disinformation networks that are vastly more effective than you realize, and they're making you more hateful and depressed. TLDR, you know that Russia and other governments try to manipulate people online, but you almost certainly don't know just how effectively orchestrated influence networks are using social media platforms to make you, individually, angry, depressed, and hateful towards each other. Those networks' goal is simple: to cause Americans and other Westerners, especially young ones, to give up on social cohesion and to give up on learning the truth, so that Western countries lack the will to stand up to authoritarians and extremists. And you probably don't realize how well it's working on you. This is a long post, but I wrote it because this problem is real and it's much scarier than you think. How Russian networks fuel racial and gender wars to make Americans fight one another. In September of 2018, a video went viral after being posted by In the Now, a social media news channel. It featured a feminist activist pouring bleach on a male subway passenger for manspreading. It got instant attention with millions of views and wide social media outrage. Reddit users wrote that it had turned them against feminism. Is there a link to the actual video? We confronted manspreaders on the subway. Is it this one? Pours bleach subway. Did it just get deleted from everything? Oh wait, hold on. Puggy's got the link. She should probably show this to all of her friends.
Мужчины, демонстрирующие свою альфа-самцовость в метро, при женщинах и детях, достойны презрения. Если вы публично показываете, какой вы горячий мачо, мы публично охладим ваш пыл.
Okay, we got the point. There was one problem: the video was staged. And In the Now, which publicized it, is a subsidiary of RT, formerly Russia Today, the Kremlin TV channel aimed at foreign English-speaking audiences. As an MIT study found in 2019, Russia's online influence networks reached 140 million Americans every month, the majority of US social media users. Russia began using troll farms a decade ago to incite gender and racial divisions in the United States. Nobody really cared about any of this, but it was very interesting in those Mueller indictments, seeing the types of posts that Russians were making. Does this one have the pictures? Seeing the types of posts, seeing the types of posts that Russians make on some of their social media accounts were super interesting, because it's very well done. It's very sophisticated. Like, these are messages coming from Russians to stir up other people to protest. On or about August 2nd, 2016, on August 3rd, 2016, defendants and their co-conspirators, through the use of a stolen identity of a real U.S. person, TW, sent emails to certain grassroots groups located in Florida that stated in part, "My name is TW, and I represent a conservative patriot community named as Being Patriotic. So we're going to organize a flash mob across Florida to support Mr. Trump. We clearly understand that the election's winner will be predestined by purple states, and we must win Florida. We've got a lot of volunteers in about 25 locations, and it's just the beginning. We're currently choosing venues for each location and recruiting more activists. This is why we ask you to spread this info and participate in the flash mob. There's like a ton of these Hi there, I'm a member of Being Patriotic online community. Listen, we've got an idea. Florida's still a purple state and we need to paint it red. If we lose Florida, we lose America. We can't let it happen, right? What about organizing a huge pro-Trump flash mob in every Florida town? We are currently reaching out to local activists and we've got the folks who are okay to be in charge of organizing their events almost everywhere in Florida. However, we still need your support. What do you think about that? Are you in? They also did a lot of, so here's political advertisements. To pay for the political advertisements, defendants and their co-conspirators established various Russian bank accounts and credit cards, often registered in the names of fictitious U.S. personas created and used by the organization. The organization in this indictment refers to IRS, the Internet Research Agency. No, IRA, sorry. Internet Research Agency. By the organization on social media. Defendants and their co-conspirators also paid for other political advertisements using PayPal accounts. Excerpt of advertisement. You know, a great number of black people support us saying that hashtag Hillary Clinton is not my president. I say no to Hillary Clinton. I say no to manipulation. Join our hashtag Hillary Clinton for Prison 2016. Donald wants to defeat terrorism. Hillary wants to sponsor it. Vote Republican, vote Trump, and support the Second Amendment. Hillary Clinton doesn't deserve the black vote. Trump is our only hope for a better future. Hashtag never Hillary, hashtag Hillary for prison, hashtag Hillary for prison, hashtag Hillary for prison 2016. Ohio wants Hillary for prison. Hillary Clinton has already committed voter fraud during the Democrat Iowa caucus. We cannot trust Hillary to take care of our veterans. Among all the candidates, Donald Trump is the one and only who can defend the police from terrorists. Hillary is a Satan, and her crimes and lies have proved just how evil she is. I think they managed to organize both sides of a protest in one city. I don't remember which city it was. I don't remember if it's in this indictment, but I think they managed to organize both halves of a single protest in a city. I wonder if I can find this. Oh, I don't know if it's in here, but it's funny. Was it Texas somewhere? Feel like these ads work on your parents? Absolutely. My mom sends me like obvious Russian disinfo and shit all the fucking time. It was Almost, I believe. I think they tried in multiple places, but I thought in one place they actually succeeded. As an MIT study found, okay, we got this. Russia began using troll farms a decade ago to incite gender and racial divisions in the United States. In 2013, Yevgeny Prigozhin, a confidant of Vladimir Putin, founded the internet. Oh, okay, I shouldn't have just gone and looked this all up. Founded the Internet Research Agency, the IRA, in St. Petersburg. It was the Russian government's first coordinated facility to disrupt U.S. society and politics through social media. Here's what Prigozhin had to say about the IRA's efforts to disrupt the 2022 election. Gentlemen, we interfere, and we will interfere. Carefully, precisely, surgically, and in our own way. As we know how. During our pinpoint operations, we will remove both kidneys and the liver at once. In 2014, the IRA and other Russian networks began establishing fake U.S. activist groups on social media. By 2015, hundreds of English-speaking young Russians worked at the IRA. Oh, also, there were some big Twitter accounts that ended up being controlled by Russians that like nobody knew about. Do you guys? I think we even responded to this. It was like, I think 10 GOP. This account had over 200,000 tweets. I thought it was like the Tennessee like GOP official Twitter account. It might have even been verified. I don't remember. Maybe not. But this account was huge. And yeah, it was just ran by Russians. So wild. Is this the Russian hoax that Republicans talk about? The Russian hoax is only helps the Democrats. You don't care about this, but there was a bedbug crisis here in France a while ago, and every news outlet covered it. Turns out it was just disinformation from Russia trying to blame it on sanctions. Oh, I did know about that because I traveled to Sweden at around the time that was happening, and people were like worried about bedbugs through like fucking airplanes and shit. I remember a decent amount of people talked about it. Their assignment was to use those false social media accounts, especially on Facebook and Twitter, but also on Reddit, Tumblr, 9gag, and other platforms, to aggressively spread conspiracy theories and mocking ad hominem arguments that incite American users. In 2017, U.S. intelligence found that Blacktivist, a Facebook and Twitter group with more followers than the official Black Lives Matter movement, was operated by Russia. Oh, I didn't know this. Fake black activist accounts linked to Russian government. Social media campaign calling itself Blacktivist and linked to the Russian government using both Facebook and Twitter in an apparent attempt to amplify Russian tongue considering the U.S. presidential election. Blacktivists regularly attacked America as racist and urged black users to reject major candidates. On November 2nd, 2016, just before the 2016 election, Blacktivists' Twitter urged black Americans, choose peace and vote for Jill Stein. Trust me, it's not a wasted vote. Russia plays both sides on gender, race, and religion. The brilliance of the Russian influence campaign is that it convinces Americans to attack each other, worsening both misandry and misogyny, mutual racial hatred, and extreme anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. In short, it's not just an effort to boost the right wing, it's an effort to radicalize everybody. Russia uses its trolling networks to aggressively attack men. According to MIT in 2019, the most popular black-oriented Facebook page was the charmingly named My Baby Daddy Ain't Shit. It regularly posts memes attacking black men and government welfare workers. It serves two purposes: make poor black women hate men, and goad black men into flame wars. MIT found that My Baby Daddy is run by a large troll network in Eastern Europe, likely financed by Russia. But Russian influence networks are also aggressively misogynistic and aggressively anti-LGBT. On January 23rd, 2017, something about this that's important to realize is that, like, when we say, like, Russia supported Trump or Putin wanted Trump to win, it's not necessarily because he aligns with Trump politically or even necessarily that Trump would be better for Putin as a leader, but just that Russia accurately identifies that Trump is a far more divisive leader, inflames American tensions to hate each other, et cetera, et cetera. So that would be like Russia would support somebody like Donald Trump. Not because they think that Trump is a compromised agent that we can control and use the levers of power on to blah, 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 just because he just causes more divisiveness and yeah. On January 23, 2017, just after the first Women's March, the New York Times found that the Internet Research Agency began a coordinated attack on the movement, per the Times. More than 4,000 miles away, organizations linked to the Russian government had assigned teams to the Women's March. At desks in bland offices in St. Petersburg, using models derived from advertising and public relations, copywriters were testing out social media messages critical of the Women's March movement, adopting the personas of fictional Americans. They posted as black women, critical of white feminism, conservative women who felt excluded, and men who mocked participants as hairy-legged whiners. But the Russian PR teams realized that one attack worked better than the rest. They accused its co-founder, Arab-American Linda Sarsour, of being an anti-Semite. Over the next 18 months, at least 152 Russian accounts regularly attacked Sarsour. I think it's Sarsour, right? They may not seem like many accounts, but it worked. They drove the Women's March movement into disarray and eventually crippled the organization. Russia doesn't need 1 million accounts or even that many likes or upvotes. It just needs to get enough attention that actual Western users begin amplifying its content. This is a really important thing to talk about when it comes to disinformation. There's a phenomenon in physics called the, I want to call it the Bernoulli effect, but it's not that. I mean, if we're taking 10,000 seriously, then I guess he really thinks Destiny literally only read 2 Wikipedia pages. The problem with Finkelstein is it's hard to be hyperbolic when you literally have no basis for any of his understanding whatsoever. Like, it's hard to know what he knows about anything or what he's read about anything. It's kind of hard to, because he constantly brags about like footnotes and annotations, and he said he read the 15,000 pages of the Annapolis report. Like, to selectively pick when he's being hyperbolic or not is kind of difficult. Wait, is it the Bernoulli principle? Oh, it is.
I wonder how many breaths it would take me to fill up this incredibly long plastic bag. Do you think there's any way I can fill this whole thing up with one breath? I bet you I can. Stay tuned to the end to see the real answer, but let me show you the standard way of filling this up. We'll take our breaths.
Bernoulli. Okay.
One hardly did anything. There's
Bernoulli?
10.
Bernoulli?
I'm not
Bernoulli?
even halfway there and I'm ready to pass out. Is there perhaps a better way to do this? Let's see. Let me take all the air out of the balloon. And now we're going to use something called Bernoulli's principle. We're going to blow into the bag, but we're not going to put our mouth right on the bag. And what happens there is as we blow in, surrounding air is pulled in as well to the low pressure.
Dusty would be screaming right now if a right-wing person made the stupid statements Ethan has, but he's silent now, biased as fuck. Are you looking at yesterday's VOD, my dude? Also, wait, I'm pretty sure I was very critical of Ethan saying dumb shit yesterday as well, but...
Area. This is Bernoulli's principle. Firefighters know about this. We'll talk about that in a moment. So here we go. One big breath.
I think the goal of good propaganda isn't to like start a whole idea or movement on your own and then figure out everything on your own and then pay 1 million people to spread something on your own. The goal is to like find areas that there is some natural sentiment and then drive them really hard with the goal that a whole bunch of other people start joining the movement that you've kind of astroturfed. Like good astroturfing leads to other people organically joining your cause. And you can find that with like a relatively few number of accounts, you can fill an entire plastic wind thing. Just a few accounts, that's all you need. Strategic astroturfing. Russia doesn't need 1 million accounts or even that many likes or upvotes. It just needs to get enough attention that actual Western users begin amplifying its content. A former federal prosecutor who investigated the Russian disinformation effort summarized it like this. It wasn't exclusively about Trump and Clinton anymore. It was deeper and more sinister and more diffuse in its focus on exploiting divisions within society on any number of different levels. As the New York Times reported in 2022, there was a routine. Arriving for a shift, Russian disinformation workers would scan news outlets on the ideological fringes, far left and far right, mining for extreme content that they could publish and amplify on the platforms, feeding extreme views into mainstream conversations. China is joining in with AI. Last month, the New York Times reported on a new disinformation campaign. Spamouflage is an effort by China to divide Americans by combining AI with real images of the United States to exacerbate political and social tensions in the US. The goal appears to be to cause Americans to lose hope by promoting exaggerated stories with fabricated photos about homeless violence and the risk of civil war. As Ladislav Bitman, a former Czechoslovakian secret police operative, explained about Soviet disinformation, the strategy is not to invent something totally fake. Rather, it is to act like an evil doctor who expertly diagnoses the patient's vulnerabilities and exploits them, prolongs his illness, and speeds him to an early grave instead of curing him. The influence networks are vastly more effective than platforms admit. Russia now runs its most sophisticated online influence efforts through a network called Fabrika. Fabrika operators have bragged that social media platforms only catch 1% of their fake accounts across YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and Telegram, and other platforms. But how effective are these efforts? By 2020, Facebook's most popular pages for Christian and Black American content were run by Eastern European troll farms tied to the Kremlin. And Russia doesn't just target angry boomers on Facebook. Russian trolls are enormously active on Twitter and even on Reddit. It's not just false facts. The term disinformation undersells the problem because much of Russia's social media activity is not trying to spread fake news. Instead, the goal is to divide and conquer by making Western audiences depressed and extreme. Sometimes through brigading and trolling, other times by posting hyper-negative or extremist posts or opinions about the US, the West over and over again until readers assume that's how most people feel, and sometimes by using trolls to disrupt threads that advance Western unity. As the RAND think tank explained, the Russian strategy is volume and repetition from numerous accounts to overwhelm real social media users and create the appearance that everyone disagrees with or even hates them. And it's not just low-quality bots. Per RAND, Russian propaganda is produced in incredibly large volumes and is broadcast or otherwise distributed via a large number of channels. According to a former paid Russian internet troll, the trolls are on duty 24 hours a day in 12-hour shifts, and each has a daily quota of 135 posted comments of at least 200 characters. What this means for you. You are being targeted by a sophisticated PR campaign meant to make you more resentful, bitter, and depressed. It's not just disinformation, it's also real-life human writers and advanced bot networks working hard to shift the conversation to the most negative and divisive topics and opinions. It's why some topics seem to go from non-issues to constant controversy and discussion with no clear reason across social media platforms. And a lot of those trolls are actual, professional writers whose job it is to sound real. So what can you do? To quote War Games, the only winning move is to not play. The reality is that you cannot distinguish disinformation accounts from real social media users. Unless you know whom you're talking to, there is a genuine chance that the post, tweet, or comment you are reading is an attempt to manipulate you politically or emotionally. Here are some thoughts. Don't accept facts from social media accounts you don't know. Russian, Chinese, and other manipulation efforts are not uniform. Some will make deranged claims, but others will tell half-truths. Or they'll spin facts about a complicated subject, be it the war in Ukraine or loneliness in young men, to give you a warped view of reality and spread division in the West. Resist groupthink. A key element of manipulative networks is volume. People are naturally inclined to believe statements that have broad support. When a post gets 5,000 upvotes, it's easy to think the crowd is right, but the crowd could be fake accounts. And even if they're not, the brilliance of government manipulation campaigns is that they say things people are already predisposed to think. They'll tell conservative audiences something misleading about a Democrat or make up a lie about Republicans that catches on fire on a liberal server or subreddit. Don't let social media warp your view of society. This is harder than it seems, but you need to accept that the facts and the opinions you see across social media are not reliable. If you want the news, do what everyone online says not to. Look at serious mainstream media. It's not always right. Sometimes it screws up, but social media narratives are heavily manipulated by networks whose job it is to ensure that you are deceived, angry, and divided. Edited for typos and clarity. Apparently the post was removed several hours ago due to flood of reports. Thank you to the Gen Z moderators for reapproving it. Second edit, this post is not meant to suggest that our Gen Z is uniquely or especially vulnerable, or to suggest that a lot of challenges people discuss here are not real. It's entirely the opposite. Growing loneliness, political polarization, and increasing social division along gender lines is real. The problem is that disinformation and influence networks expertly and effectively hijack those conversations and use those real, serious issues to poison the conversation. This post is not about left or right. Everyone is targeted. Doesn't the US do this too? When Hassan is on Twitch chest bumping a Houthi and on a podcast sobbing over a dead journalist in a country he's never been to, there's a lot of pretty much intentional flame fanning. Yeah, but Hassan is part of the people that like organically amplify, right? Would you be in favor of the U.S. doing the same thing to Russia, spreading disinformation to sow division? I don't know. I haven't thought much at all about like the ethicalness of social media attacks. I'm not sure. Would you be skeptical of all rage bait due to this? Yeah, but you can swing in either direction too far. Like sometimes it's like people will believe every single piece of rage bait that they see. Other people will think that nothing is ever real. I don't know. It's hard. It's truly hard and impossible to figure out what's real or what's not real, you know?
I'm going to show you how easy it is to manufacture a protest with TikTok. And hopefully you'll also see how dangerous TikTok actually is. Now, TikTok has been in the news lately, just recently, just today. American lawmakers created a bill to either ban the company or force it to be sold to an American company. TikTok's parent company is called ByteDance, and they are located in the People's Republic of China. And I've often said that TikTok is a CCP cyberweapon. And when people hear me say cyberweapon, they think of a platform launching attacks or stealing personal data. And yeah, TikTok is really no different than any other social media when it comes to that, but there is a huge difference. TikTok is also a cyberweapon in the terms of manufacturing disinformation and creating agents who live in the US and don't even know they're doing the bidding of a foreign government. Now, before I get started, I want to talk about a tool that I actually used to make this video. It was PIA VPN. So click the link in the description below or go to piavpn.com/McBeth to get 83% off plus 4 months free. Listen, I am definitely afraid of TikTok. I handle it like I would handle plutonium. When I did the research for this video, I used a virtual machine running Linux protected by PIA VPN. And I'm sure you remember me talking about how I use PIA VPN to watch Australian Netflix and that TV show Yellow Jackets. And that is a use for a VPN. But really, I use it to keep me safe online.
There are other ways to track you than a simple IP log, right? Like you can do it with cookies, or there's probably more sophisticated forms of browsing tracking that you can do as well. So a VPN, the only thing a VPN I think really does is hide your IP address, but that's it. But there's like, I think there's like 50 billion other ways that you could theoretically be tracked, even if you're using a VPN. So just always be aware of that. That's why he also used a VM. I'm not talking about him, you retarded f. I'm just saying for you. Don't download a VM and start looking up a bunch of illegal fucking shit. Like, there's a lot of different ways people can track you online still.
So click the link in the description below or go to piavpn.com/McBeth to get 83% off plus 4 months free. Now let's talk about why TikTok is so dangerous. You know, back in 1962, there was this movie called The Manchurian Candidate. It was about a Korean War veteran who was captured by the Chinese and was brainwashed into becoming this unwitting assassin. And when this assassin sees the Queen of Diamonds, he becomes activated as an assassin. And that's pretty much what TikTok is doing. If you take a look at Aaron Bushnell, a former Air Force intel guy who did something I can't talk about on YouTube, but I'll call a silly thing in front of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C., you kind of have to ask yourself, how did Aaron Bushnell become radicalized? Did he travel to Yemen Did he learn Arabic? Did he study the Quran? Did he work with an aid organization in Gaza and saw the horrible conditions of the Palestinian people there? Or maybe Aaron Bushnell was radicalized by a combination of social media and raw footage streaming 24/7 from Gaza. I mean, most millennials get their news from social media, and TikTok is the top news source for Gen Z, and increasingly is the most popular news source for Americans overall. So now we have a news organization that is ultimately under the influence of a foreign country that is under the influence of the Chinese Communist Party. Remember in 1988, there was that movie Working Girl? Melanie Griffith, Sigourney Weaver? Yeah, you know, all right. The movie is about an ambitious secretary who comes up with an idea to save her client from being acquired by a Japanese company. And the idea involved purchasing a radio station because at the time, foreign companies were prohibited from owning American media companies. This was banned by the Federal Communications Commission.
See, my idea is that they get their feet wet in radio and build from there. I mean, it's not as glamorous as jumping right into TV, but it's a solid place to start, and there's a lot more of them for sale. Plus, it would solve Trask's problem with his Japanese competitors trying to take him over, because FCC forbids foreign ownership of radio as well as TV.
Come for the intelligence analysis, stay for the obscure 80s movies. I mean, could you imagine Ronald Reagan allowing the Soviets to buy an American television station back in 1988? Well, I don't think they're going to be doing that. So, it looks like today the FCC approves foreign media ownership on a case-by-case basis, but let's look at TikTok demographics, and you're going to see something really interesting. This is worse than the Soviets buying a news channel in 1988. We're talking 150 million monthly active U.S. TikTok users, and that was as of March 2023.
Is that unique users? Or is that like unique accounts? Or is that unique? Jesus Christ. If that's truly like every one of these is about an individual like human being, that's pretty wild.
50 million monthly active U.S. TikTok users, and that was as of March 2023. The American news channel CNN reached about 53 million monthly households. So a unit that's ultimately reported to the Chinese Communist Party has 3 times as many American viewers as CNN. Why are we letting this happen? And here's the ultimate culmination of this. This video was sent to me by a few people. I didn't really know what to do with this video because I'm not going to make a video where I just make fun of somebody. But what's interesting is that once I heard about this bill, I put 2 and 2 together and went, oh my God, this is how it starts. So I'm going to show you the video and then I'm going to point a few things out. I don't know if I need to do a trigger warning or whatever, but this video is really racist. It contains a swear word that I'm going to bleep out. But if you can't handle an adult discussion on racism, skip to this time up here.
It makes me feel... I was on the train yesterday on the way to JFK to get on the plane, and there was a group of Orthodox Jews in front of me, and my first thought was, I wonder if they are in support of this imperialist colonizer settler state that is Israel, and I wonder if they're in support of this occupation and this genocide. And then I immediately just...
Oh my
I want to
God.
just, like, stay the f away from me.
This is a couple weeks old, right? I feel like I saw this a while ago.
Yeah, that girl really said that. She set up her camera and she willingly recorded herself crying because she was triggered by seeing a couple of Orthodox Jews on the train. Did this girl become radicalized by traveling to Yemen? Maybe she was studying the Quran. Maybe she was learning Arabic. Maybe she was working in a refugee camp in Gaza. Notice how she pauses when she says imperialist, colonizer, settler.
Imperialist colonizer settler.
It's like she's reaching for words. It's probably because these are words that she just learned in the past few months, and these aren't words that normal people use in everyday conversation. And actually what's kind of funny is that people who talk about Israel and colonizers should really read about the founding of Islam. I mean, by the year 750, the Umayyad Caliphate extended onto 3 different...
Now, Islam doesn't count because that was more than 500 years ago. It's the 500-year rule, okay? It's like the 5-second rule, so it's kind of the same except for countries.
different continents. And, well, in Islam, you can't...
Like, caliphate? I don't know what that is. I don't know what any of this is, okay? Whatever it is, certainly it's not relevant to any of this conversation, though.
Continents. And, well, in Islam, you can't forcibly convert anybody. You can force non-Muslims to pay a jizya if they don't convert. And, of course, some people converted because they believe in their heart that there is no God but God, Muhammad is his messenger. And that's cool. But anybody who has studied Islam, like I have, or read the Quran, like I have, knows that Europeans are not the world's only colonizers. And I have said this before. The only reason that you are alive today is that 20 or so generations ago, your ancestors rode into a village, Conan the Barbarian style, and wiped out everybody living there. Like that scene in the movie The Revenant, we are all savages. Now, this doesn't excuse bad behavior today, but it does explain it. And if we know what we're doing, we can take steps to appeal to the better angels of our nature and not do those things. And speaking of that, if this had been a group of African Americans, the girl still made this video, I guess racism against Jews is cool now. You know, I'm a Protestant from Northern Ireland, and my family used to have to think about what neighborhood they walked through going home, because if it was a Catholic neighborhood, you could get into a lot of trouble. A few days ago, a video popped up on Twitter of an Army warrant officer who was defending a Chinese-American postal employee when the recorder of this video said something racist about the Chinese.
You told her, go back to China, it's not China. Look, your Army outfit doesn't mean nothing. You want to do hand-to-hand combat outside, let me know anytime you want.
Okay, turn the camera off.
Anytime you want.
Turn the camera off. Let's go outside.
Anytime you want.
Let's go. Let's go outside.
Go. Call the cops.
Look. Asians do a lot for this country, all right? Don't call her a communist about being in China.
That Army warrant officer who stood up for the Chinese woman, that's America right there. Not this. Not her. That's not America. So remember how I talked about the Manchurian candidate? You know, we now have 150 million Manchurian candidates, including this woman. And their activation can be as easy as making a video. I want to show you how easy it is. So I went and got a TikTok advertiser account, and know that I am so afraid of TikTok that I did it on a virtual machine behind a VPN. That's how scared I am of TikTok. Now, note that if you see me on TikTok, it's a person that stole my content. Multiple people pretend to be me on TikTok, and TikTok never does anything about it. But let's do the demo. So let's say I want to shut down I-495, which is the main highway in Washington, D.C., and I'm going to protest Gaza. Here's how I would go about doing it through TikTok. I'm going to log into my TikTok merchant account, and I'm going to choose lead generation. I'm going to choose a custom audience and choose DC, Maryland, and Virginia, so basically people who live near the Beltway. I'm also going to choose a custom audience, which is females between the ages of 18 and 34. Now, the reason I'm going to do this is that I'm basically targeting the kind of radicalized women that we see in this post and the ones who tried to shut down Mayor Bowser in Washington, D.C. And I want to target these women because if you invite women, men will come. Back when I first joined the military in the early 90s, my first sergeant was a Vietnam vet. And he said that he was stationed at the Pentagon and he would go to anti-war protests, not to protest, but to meet girls. And the girls would see he's a soldier and they would think, oh, I'm going to bring him into our way of thinking. And he wasn't there for that. He was there for an entirely different reason. And it worked. So if we invite women, we'll also get the friends who think they have a chance. And I'm going to make my language English and Arabic. And I want it to be Arabic because I'm hoping that some Palestinian women will be there because this will create photo opportunities for all the wealthy and activist women that we're actually targeting. And the amazing part about this is they don't even know that they're being manipulated. So we can
wait, we've talked to this guy? Yeah. And I think he comes here in a week to do the next episode of our podcast. Yeah.
Use virtue signaling to our benefit in this case. So this will increase social media engagement after the event. For interests and behaviors, I want women who are into luxury hotels, museum exhibits, travel, charity, environmental protection, health, and wellness. The reason is that you want women who have enough disposable income that they can take off work or travel to go protest, or we're talking about college students who are professional agitators. So this is kind of where environmental protection people come into play. Those people know how to organize, they know how to protest. I'm also looking for people who liked, commented, or shared social news, social issues, or environmental protection issues. These people are more likely to attend a protest than people who just pass the video by and didn't do anything. So in this case, I want the protest to be March 26th of 2024. That is a Tuesday, and the reason I'm choosing that is for maximum carnage. A lot of people in Washington, D.C. work from home on Mondays and on Fridays, so we're going to go for a Tuesday so we can cause the biggest traffic jam we can. I'm going to give myself a budget of $1,000 a day. I said that. I'm going to set this to run from the 13th to the 25th, which is 13 days. So we're talking $13,000. This should give me between 52 and 156 leads per day, or between 676 and 2,028 leads for the entire campaign. Honestly, I only need 10 or so people to shut down the highway. Then I need a creator to make me a video. I just need to call some creator or contact and just be like, hi, my name is Ryan from the Ceasefire Coalition. I'm organizing a protest on the Beltway to shut down traffic. Will you make a video? Here are the details. Now, with a larger budget, I could actually target multiple cities. And if TikTok had an armory in every American city and was just handing out weapons to civilians on the street, how fast would we shut that armory down, right? But when we have 150 million people who could be weaponized and be on the streets at the bidding of a foreign government, each of whom could be a potential insider threat, we don't do anything? I mean, TikTok already conducted a cyber warfare strike against the United States. It urged its followers to contact Congress, which overwhelmed the congressional phone lines, interrupting the business of Congress.
I understand that there can be problems with TikTok, but you can do this type of targeted advertising on Facebook as well, and Instagram by extension. So I don't think this is, unless he's just saying this is bad just because TikTok is also like controlled by a foreign company, but.
We do. Well, this is a free country, right? Usually banning things doesn't work, and there may be a freedom of speech component to allowing TikTok to exist. But it might be possible to force a sale to an American company, or even just to restrict social media usage to people who are over 18 years of age. One of my biggest fears with Aaron Bushnell is that people praised his actions. People made T-shirts, people suggested that he was going to be a martyr, and people should emulate him.
I'm very glad this is going viral because things like this can't happen in vain. Aaron Bushnell was a very brave person, beyond brave.
And I am still afraid of copycats. Copycats may emerge and try to emulate what Aaron Bushnell did, the silly thing he did in front of the Israeli embassy. Do you want your son or daughter to become a copycat? And I don't want that to happen to anybody. Okay, lighter note. Hey, if you can't get enough Ryan McBeth, why don't you put him on your desk with a Ryan McBeth in-action figure from the Knife Hand Company? It even comes with a Ryan McBeth trading card.